Good afternoon. Leicester are back at King Power Stadium today, just as they were a week ago for that win against Stoke. Hopefully we see a repeat of that today. Chris Wilder's Sheffield United are today's visitors for this 12:30 kickoff, and we've got all the action right here on Matchday Live. Welcome along. I'm Dan Bates. We've got Steve Howard and Matt Elliott alongside me in a very festive Foxy Sub studio today. Christmas has arrived here, hasn't it?
Trees up.
You still don't look like you're in the Christmas spirit yet, though, Matt.
Not even December yet, is it?
Not yet.
Quite.
No.
A couple of days.
No, I'm going to warm up after the game today. In a festive mood. I'm going to a wedding, which I'm really looking forward to. Looking forward to the game, of course. Well, could be a perfect Saturday, couldn't it?
Yeah, hopefully so. If they do what they did a week ago rather than in midweek, Steve, and we see a victory, then we can all go home happy on this early kickoff.
Yeah, I think get back to winning ways. Obviously, it was a bit of a disappointment, shall we say, on Tuesday night. High expectations. I thought I backed them for a win, but obviously didn't turn out that way. But we just need to get back to winning ways, and hopefully we can do that today.
Hopefully so. Let's do all the team news then, starting us off as we are just under half an hour, of course, away from kickoff. And from that game in midweek, that defeat to Southampton, Martí Cifuentes has decided to make 3 changes. 2 of those are at fullback, so Thomas and Ricardo come into the team, as does Bobby De Cordova-Reid in that number 10 position. Dropping to the bench goes Chowdhury and Skip, and of course Aluko misses out through suspension, having picked up that red card on his debut. This is the 11 then. It's Begovic in goal, Ricardo, Vestergaard, Fass and Thomas across the back 4. Winks and James in midfield with Fatawu, De Cordova-Reid and Mavididi supporting Patson Daka. On the bench, it's Vietes, Ayew, Chowdhury, Carranza, Skip, Sumare, and then the young lads, Page, Monga and Silko Thomas. So plenty of ammunition, certainly, on the bench. And in terms of the starting 11, actually, Steve, that looks quite appetising, doesn't it, I think, looking at that, particularly the front 4. There's creativity there, there's goals there.
Absolutely, and that's what's obviously has been lacking in previous fixtures, but it does look good. The front 4 there, obviously trying to get Daka scoring some goals again. Come back home, hopefully he can do it again, and then Reid in there, Mavididi, Fatawu. Them two for me are key. If they play well, then Leicester will play well.
I mean, you look at it, you say the front 4, I mean the front 6, really. There's bags of potential there, isn't there? There's capability within those ranks. It's just whether that capability is produced, really, and how regular. Frustrating at the moment, but I was going to say Leicester's downfall at the moment is, on other aspects of the game in terms of Tuesday night, it was conceding goals too easily. Yes, there were mitigating factors around that, but at the same time, the goals aren't flying in. So, it is a sort of a double-edged problem rather than sword necessarily. But at the same time, I always feel that Leicester aren't far off of producing something, maybe not exceptional, but something impactful in this division. So, I mean, we're just looking at the league table, it pretty much sums it up a bit. On the face of it, you can look Leicester 15th and you think, that's, bordering on extremely disappointing, to say the least. But then you look at it, the reality is there's 6 points off second spot. As crazy as it is. So at this moment in time, things are not as bad as perhaps people perceive. It's not to say there isn't a lot of work to be done. So you can't sort of try and paper over all the cracks, but the possibility is there to go and do something in this league.
I think it's this league as well, in the Championship, everybody beats everybody.
Well, that league table suggests that, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're dead right. When a couple of wins and you're back in the playoffs, and everybody's saying, "Oh, we're back on track," and then a couple of losses, or everybody beats everybody. You'll have one consistent team. You always do. Who will be up the top, and they'll take away.
It tends to go that way, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it does. But it's just that you've just got to maintain some consistency and try and win some games and obviously get.
I suppose the problem is because Leicester are in that sort of fine margins position now, because a couple of results the other way, then it is a predicament.
Yeah.
But as it stands now, there's plenty to look forward to. But things have got to take an upward turn sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we're seeing Wout Fast obviously warming up. It's he and Vestergaard again, Matt, at the heart of the defence. Obviously, they played together against Stoke, didn't they, a week ago? Obviously, they conceded that one goal, but they looked a lot more solid, didn't they? Obviously, then we know what happened in midweek, which was frustrating, I think, all round. Not to forget the fact that the first goal was a long way offside, wasn't it? And there was probably a free kick in the lead up to the second that Leicester should have had as well. Not to make excuses, but you know they'll go into this one and they'll think let's do what we did a week ago rather than in midweek.
Well, they probably sum Leicester up as a whole over the. I was going to say probably over this period or this season or even longer than that, really, because they have good moments. And you know, they're both internationals, and over a period of time, so they're no mugs individually. Yes, they do have deficiencies, and at times they're exposed too easily. I do feel that they don't help themselves sometimes. For experienced international defenders, the communication seems, from an outward point of view, that could be improved. They sort of, the majority of the time, it seems that they're playing their own devices. You know, I think it would be fair to say there's got to be a real partnership in that part of the pitch, in that defensive unit as a whole. Really, you know, with fullbacks, but in particular with centre halves, doesn't always come across that way. They may well beg to differ, but again, as you say that. Last week, we were going on about how Leicester didn't play particularly well, but looked extremely solid against a good Stoke team. And then they go and produce a performance collectively without picking out individuals like they did on Tuesday. How do you make sense of that?
I suppose that's a frustrating thing because the reports obviously didn't see the game on the Saturday, but Stoke game, but all the reports were like the characters back on the side, you know, everybody's talking.
Yeah. Stoke are second in the league.
Yeah, which you know, it was a tough game.
Stoke, decent
tough game.
Side,
they'd be decent. It's always hard to play against them, but you know the characters back and the communication was there. And I find like the times obviously you know more or less about than me, Matt, but the times I've seen Leicester play, the communication isn't there.
No,
I think you're dead right.
I don't think it's a forte of the team, a strength of the team.
No, I think it needs to be worked on, and when they get that right, I think they look a force. I think they're really good, you know, and you can see the confidence and the character come back into the side.
Yeah, and we have seen it again, which in some ways might make it even more frustrating. In performances earlier in the season, Bates, your memory's better than mine, but I particularly remember Charlton away. It was a grind. It was an effort because Charlton were like throwing everything at Leicester, and Vestergaard stood up to the task, and they battled away, and they got the points in the end.
And that was followed by Birmingham as well at home, which they won 2-0, kept a clean sheet.
Similar-ish, and there was another away performance, escapes me. Oxford, they showed resilience and character after going a man down. One or two others. Intermittently, there have been soft performances, so it's a bit of a conundrum. But it's something, at least I think it's something that the players can recognise and the manager can and try and do something about it. Although, on the wider scale of things, I wonder how much of a task it is to motivate yourselves again, you know, as a group of players, the second time round in the Championship after being relegated twice, to keep that motivation, inspiration. Not easy for the manager, for the players, but hopefully he's the man.
How disappointed will they have been, do you think, in the dressing room Wednesday with the nature of the goals, Steve?
Oh, I think so, you know, because the expectations of, well, me and, you know, everybody was, you know, they'll go down there and they'll give them it'll be a tight game, but, you know, I fancy them for a win. But I think on a Wednesday morning, you probably wake up and think, as a player, what was that? You know, a bit stunned. You know, and like Matt says there, you got to reset yourself again and just say, right, forget about that. We'll move on. And obviously with, you know, the young lad Akulo getting sent off, you know, it's just one of those things. He's just got to bury that and forget about it and just move on. But I think it's one of them where you quickly put it out of your mind, and I think it's a really good thing that it's a 12:30 kick-off today. You know, you can just put that out straight away. Yeah,
I mean, Sheffield United played a day later as well. That potentially could play into that match.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think people not so much moan, but like flag up the fact of playing 3 games in 8 days, and the schedule over the Christmas period is pretty heavy, pretty intense. But so an extra day is very useful. You play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, as opposed to Saturday, Wednesday comes around pretty quick. Before it literally is a very short time, isn't it? By the time you haven't done a lot of work in between, really, set pieces on the Friday and after a Wednesday game, I mean. So they might look to sort of shuffle the pack a little bit in terms of substitutions, a little bit earlier than normal, maybe, Sheffield United. But to be fair, unfortunately for Leicester, they're on a little bit of a roll, aren't they? They're looking forward to a run of games. They're quite happy a little bit, as we saw like Southampton were. So it's a big test for Leicester today at home. There's a little bit of expectancy to improve or repeat last Saturdays and improve on Tuesdays, but it's not just going to happen. The application needs to be spot on.
Yeah,
I think so. I think obviously Southampton's they're on a bit of a run, Sheffield United, you know, and you just think like Southampton were. I know Chris Wilder. I seen an interview with Chris Wilder, and he was kicking off saying it was 12:30 kick off. It shouldn't be us. So he's
Wilder was saying that.
Yeah, so he's moaning a little bit. So you just think, right, okay, are they going to be up for it? But I think it's it's like I said, after Tuesday night, I think it's a great time to play straight away, get off, get the win, and then reset.
Yes, it's similar, I guess, to Southampton a little bit the other night, Matt. That you'd rather have played them a little bit earlier in the season. Southampton were off the back of three wins in a row. Now Sheffield United had gone lost, draw. Now they've won 2 in a row, both by a 3-0 scoreline. So they'll find themselves in a little bit of form now.
Yeah, that Sheffield derby really sort of infused them, didn't it? See the celebrations afterwards, obviously, I think understandable, really. They were desperate for a win and against their city rivals. It doesn't get much better as a Sheffield United supporter. They're going to bring a fair few fans down today, aren't they? They're very vocal. And Leicester all round, the supporters and the players, the management team all need to really be up for things today. But that's the case anyway. Yeah. Regardless of the opposition, you need to be up. I wouldn't say that's something you could level at Leicester, but sometimes the performances suggest that they're more intense at sometimes than others. Yeah. It needs to be a consistent level,
especially at home. Especially with your home games. I think you've got to set your stall out early doors if you want to really compete.
Take it to the opposition as well. Don't
I think when you come in here, you're going to get beat. Simple as that.
But talking that lineup there, I know it doesn't seem like it at the moment because people are looking at deficiencies because of the way the results are going and performances a bit. But there is, I say it every week, there is potential.
Absolutely,
in that. Don't try and tell me there isn't in this division. That front, you said front 6. Okay, Daka needs to improve the goal scoring rate, but again, he does have that capability. At certain times, Pereira right back, 2 international centre halves.
Yeah. I mean, on paper,
the positives go on really.
You look at that team on paper and you think, that's a decent team. That's a team that's going to compete at the top of the league. It's just, and I always feel as though when I watch Leicester, it just clicks. You're waiting for the click all the time. And when it clicks, it's brilliant.
They do need to fire themselves up. The manager can contribute to that, yes. But as players, the fans can help with that. But there's got to be, reasons for people to get energised. But players have got to do that themselves. And whether it's anger, frustration, or sheer professionalism, or whatever it is, or motivation to go and perform, even if it's just for yourself, give your absolute maximum there, because sometimes they don't seem to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, well, let's hear from the manager then. Martí Cifuentes was speaking to the media, of course, this week in the build-up to the game, and he's been previewing today's opposition, Sheffield United.
Yeah, definitely a team that started the season probably not in the way they wanted. Then an experienced manager that knows the club really well comes in, comes back, I will say. And then definitely the team has improved over the last games. So they got players that they know really well this division. That actually last season, many of them had a very strong season in the same league. And they are now in a good moment after these last games, last results, and a team as well that has changed slightly from I would say how they were playing 2 months ago and how they are playing at the moment. So it's very important that we understand where are their strengths. They got some players that are performing at good level at the moment, but at the same time to remind that we know that when we play at our best, we can be a very strong team in the league.
That was Marty Cifuentes there, previewing today's opponents, Sheffield United. Kickoff is just under 15 minutes away here at King Power Stadium. The Leicester players have just come in for their final words with the gaffer. The Sheffield United players doing the same. There are game passes available, international monthly passes for £25 a month, depending what territories you're in. You can watch the action with us today. There are also listen live monthly passes, so if you're not in a territory where you can watch it, then absolutely you can listen to the action with us. He's not on the sofa today, Jerry Taggart, that is because he is on commentary duty. There are, there's a brand new prize for new members who sign up to the app in December. You can win a pair of match-worn Jakub Stolasic goalkeeper gloves. Obviously, he's not in action today. It's Asmir Begovic in goal today. But
That's a relief. I thought you were going to say Steve Howard undercracker.
Certainly not. Nobody wants that. So yes, all you need to do there is become a member on the app this season to be in with a chance of winning a signed pair of Jakub Stolasic's goalkeeping gloves. And finally, there is a starting live today at Filbert's Present Hunt. Is live for you. So certainly something to get involved with kids. If you've got them, download the LCFC app and play along throughout Leicester for a chance to win loads of prizes. There are a number of basically QR codes hidden around the city, including in the fan store. So there's a little clue for you. And you can win a load of prizes there. So that's Filbert's Present Hunt starting today. Yeah, we heard from Marty Cifuentes there, Steve, obviously talking about Sheffield United, kind of similar to what we were saying. They didn't start brilliantly. Wilder's come in. You always knew he'd get results, didn't you? And they've had a really good last couple, as Matt says, the Steel City derby, obviously that came at a good time for them because, form goes out the window, as we know. So they will come into this with confidence. Tom Cannon, of course, against his old club will, I'm sure, will fancy himself today, won't he? So does that come into it as you as a former player whenever you went against your old team?
Absolutely, you want to play well and try and get one over in your old teams, But I think with Wilder coming in, I think he's sort of changed the mindset of Sheffield United like was expected. He's got them more solid, more defensive. It's more of a unit, which is he's all about. He's old school, isn't he? Wilder's always been old school. But I think he's turned them around, and I think like you said, like Matt said, 10, 5, 6, 7 games ago, you're looking at Sheffield United thinking, I'll play these. But now he's come in and and they've won a few games. You just think, well, it's one of them where you think, should we play against them at home, early kick-off? It's raining, pitch is going to be beautiful, nice and zippy. I fancy Leicester.
Yeah, they've got quite a bit of experience in the team, haven't they?
Indeed.
Players who have been around the block a little bit and names that people will recognise. But then Wilder's quite good at sort of forging them into a unit, isn't he? And his association with Sheffield United, it just sort of goes together, doesn't it, these days? But under his sort of guidance, they're going to be a tough proposition for most teams. But that's a challenge that Leicester face. I mean, there's a multitude of decent teams in this league, and sizable clubs. Most of them been Premier League at one stage or another in their history. So it shows you the challenge you're up against. But the challenge is not insurmountable. I don't think you see that with Coventry, doing as well as they are. I think it's not beyond the realms for the likes of Leicester to go and make a surge. I've been saying it all season, really. I've been surprised at how the season has gone. But again, repeating myself, the opportunity is there. You get players that Leicester have got in the ranks there who spark themselves off and hit a bit of form, and then collectively they start turning it on. They could do something I won't say special, but something very good in this division.
Yeah, and the man that's behind you on the screen there, as we can see at the bottom as well, Bobby De Cordova-Reid. He was brilliant when he came on against Norwich, wasn't he? He changed that game completely.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he'll be going into this with a bit of confidence. From that Norwich game, I know he didn't start. He went away with Jamaica. That was probably why he didn't start against Stoke away to Southampton. You can maybe understand that one, but he's in the 11 today, and I think the team just looks maybe a bit more balanced with him in that number 10
I think so with him, because obviously he was with his injuries and, he got his goal. I think the Norwich game, his first kick, he played a great ball down for Tawu down the right hand side, and obviously then got his goal. And I think it gives a player confidence when he scores and plays well, but it gives the whole side confidence.
Yeah.
When you got a player who's on fire, and like Daka when he scored his goal, that's why I thought on Tuesday night everybody's going to be up for this, and it'll be a good performance because
They were for a while.
They were for a while, and then obviously
the loose defending stroke offside.
Yeah.
They shot themselves in the foot a little bit, didn't they?
Yes, totally. Yeah, and that's they just tighten up little things, but with the front, like we said, the front six, if they can click, then like Matt says, they can do all sorts.
I like De Cordova-Reid, and at this stage of his career, I think he's better suited in that central role. He's got more players around him. He's quite cute. He is experienced, and he's got a bit of nous and awareness, little bit of creativity, something a little bit out.
He's got
of the norm.
goals as well,
and he's got an eye for goal, hasn't he? He's not prolific, but he'll strike from distance. He's had numerous, the relatively few appearances he's had. I can pretty much every game remember him having a strike from distance and working the keeper or narrowly missing. And he gets in goal scoring positions as well. And I think it suits Jordan James better, coming from deeper. I think most people would probably agree with that, rather than being back to goal on the half-turn number 10. And it'd also feed the wide players there, because he hasn't necessarily got the dynamism to go past fullbacks now in wide positions. But he can help knit things together, and hopefully he'll show that today.
Hopefully so. Very quickly, confidence today? Are we there? Are we confident? We're hoping for him?
I'm confident today. I think the early kick-off, nice pitch. I think if they start well, I think it's Leicester win.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
Yeah, well, of late, I never quite know. On Tuesday, I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't really think, but it was after a solid performance Saturday, you expected similar again Tuesday. Didn't happen. Don't know. I think it's going to be a tightly contested game. I've got to be honest today, because Sheffield United, like we said, for the reason we mentioned, but Leicester have the capabilities. Hopefully, today's the day that they turn it on.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Matt. Jerry Taggart is on co-commentary duty alongside Joe Rawson for us this afternoon on Fox's Hub. All of the action is coming up just over 5 minutes now away from kickoff. So here's a little explainer of what's available to you on Fox's Hub this afternoon.
If you are watching on lcfc.com, just sit back and relax. If you are watching on social media, the live stream will finish shortly. If you want to continue enjoying our coverage, you'll need to head over to lcfc.com/Fox's Hub and purchase one of our game passes. If you are watching in a territory where the game isn't live on TV, you'll be able to watch a live video stream on Fox's Hub. Please visit lcfc.com/territories to check. If you can't find your location, live audio commentary is still available. You'll need to have an lcfc.com account before you purchase your Game Pass. If you already have one, please sign in and select your product at lcfc.com/Fox's Hub. Select the Buy button and you'll be taken to the payment page. Once you've followed the simple payment steps, press Continue at the bottom of the screen and you'll be taken to the Fox's Hub homepage. If you purchased a video pass, please select Watch Live from the Fox's Hub drop-down menu. If you purchased a Listen Live pass, please select Listen Live. If you purchased a seasonal or monthly video pass and the game is not being shown in your territory, please select Listen Live. If you are having a payment or technical issue, please email Leicester TV Support at streamamg.com. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the match.